let's just start with my New York Jets right off the rip. I thought Arbel Reese was a lock at number 2. And before the draft started, Arbel Reese was like minus 300 to go two overall. Arbel Reese was. The Jets didn't go Arbel Reese. The Jets went with David Bailey. I personally like the Reese pick better, like when I was debating it in my brain, because he gives you a higher floor than David Bailey does. And that's not as an edge rusher. That is as a football player. You can do more with Arbel Reese. You can line him up in the off-ball position at the mic. He can turn around and cover a back out of the backfield from the edge position. He can set the edge in the run game. Those are a bunch of things David Bailey cannot do. So I wanted Arbel Reese. And then at 15, Kenyon fucking Sadiq. Are you kidding me? What a disgraceful, disgusting pick. Especially with Makai Lemon on the board right there. What are the Jets thinking? Kenyon Sadiq, he didn't even have 600 yards last year. Oh, but he's an athletic freak. He sucked against every single good team he played, and nobody tell me that USC is a really good team. They're not. Their defense fucking stunk. Kenyon Sadiq was a no-show. It's a potential over production pick, and I hate that. You take production over potential, and Eli Stowers' potential is almost as high as Kenyon Sadiq's. Obviously, it's not all the way there because Sadiq's obviously a freak athlete, but the production was better, and he just started playing football. The fact that Eli Stowers just started playing football, and there's a debate, there's genuinely people like myself that thought he was a better prospect than Kenyon Sadiq, tells you everything you need to fucking know about Kenyon Sadiq. It's just despicable. Obviously, I'm rooting for him. I hope he succeeds. I hope I look like a clown. But the fact that Sadiq goes off the board and then literally 3 picks later, you have one of the best GMs in the sport trading up for a guy in Makai Lemon that was on the board when the Jets took Kenyon Sadiq is utterly disgraceful. And it's a testament to what the New York Jets have done. I'll tell you this, though. If Sadiq does pan out, and when you look at the timeline of the New York Jets, it's like, obviously Geno Smith sucks. They're probably going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL next year. Let's not kid ourselves. So by the time Sadiq develops and is a really good weapon, it's Sadiq, Mason Taylor, Breece Hall, Omar Cooper Jr., Garrett Wilson for a guy like Julian Sayin, or for a guy like Arch Manning, or for a guy like Dante Moore, as long as the Jets suck next year. But Kenyon Sadiq right now, when you have holes all over the secondary, when you have holes all over the defensive line, and you can pretend they got addressed in free agency. That's what delusional Jets fans will do. They didn't. They still need help on the edge. They still need help in the run game. Their off-ball linebackers are a joke. They don't have a wide receiver too. At least at the time they didn't. And Makai Lemon was still on the board, and they went with fucking Kenyon Sadiq. If you think Kenyon Sadiq is some generational next-level tight end prospect, you're a combine merchant, and you didn't watch a second of Oregon football last year. Because every time Oregon needed a playmaker, needed somebody to make a play, Kenyon Sadiq was nowhere to be fucking found. He just runs really fast in a straight line and looks great with his shirt off and hurdled guys that played for UT Chattanooga. What did he do against Indiana? What's he do in the college football playoff? Where was Kenyon Sadiq? Top of the line, next level type of tight end. Where the fuck was he? And I got these dumbasses in my TikTok comment section saying, I don't know ball. You just watched the combine. You probably didn't even watch the combine. You just open Twitter and see that he ran a 4.3 and he looks really good without a shirt off and you're head over heels. And I'll tell you this, the Ty Simpson pick, here's another unpopular opinion. I think the Ty Simpson pick was a really good pick for the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, you think about where the Rams are as a franchise right now, it's not really like they had a whole lot of needs in their roster. I mean, they're a muff punt away from making it to the Super Bowl, and the Rams would have beat the Patriots by 50. The Patriots were a joke last year. So if they catch a punt and they don't muff a punt, they beat the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. So they're not like in a position where they need to take a pick. And everybody talks about their right tackle. The right tackle retired. McClendon, when he played for the Rams, and he played more than 50% of the starting snaps at right tackle for the Rams, he was more than serviceable for them last year. They have a good O-line. They drafted a million good guys on their defensive line, and I bet you they're going to cook in the second, third, and fourth round like they have over the past few years without a first-round pick. So this Ty Simpson pick just puts the Rams in the situation they've been in for the past 3-4 years where they didn't have a first-round pick, because now they don't, because it's not going to play right away. So for a team that has not a lot of needs, that was a muff punt away from making the Super Bowl next year, that has an MVP quarterback that's sniffing 40, yes, it makes sense to get your QB of the future. And why not get a guy like Ty Simpson, who has good arm talent? Like the arm angles are there, the arm strength is there. He just needs a little bit more development upstairs because he only played fucking 17 games, 16 games, less than that, 14 games in college. He needs to sit for a few years. Why not sit behind Matthew Stafford? And everybody's like, oh, they reach. Obviously, they fucking reach, but if that's McVay's guy, it's McVay's guy. Who gives a fuck? It was a good pick for the Rams. I think if you're overreacting. Ty Simpson needed to sit. That was the number one thing. Like, the tape was good. He made some really, really good throws. His accuracy is awesome. He can read a defense. He ran an NFL-style offense last year. Ryan Grubb was the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. So, yeah, it's a really good pick for the Rams, and I'm tired of pretending that it's fucking not because they picked him really early. The Rams don't need to fill out their roster with the first-round pick. They took Braden Fisk. They took Kobe Turner. They took Byron Young. They Jared Verse in the late first, but still, like, they don't need to get good players. They're a really good drafting team. Puka Nacua, 5th-round pick. Kyron Williams, late-round pick. Like, they don't need a premium pick to fill out their roster. So taking Ty Simpson in a way is basically them saying, we don't need to use our first-round picks to acquire good offensive players. Like, we can just fill out our roster anyway. And I think Ty Simpson's a really good contingency plan for Matthew Stafford. And you also look at this pick by the Rams. Sean McVay has been rumored that he wants to retire, but if he has a new project to work on, if he has a new thing to get excited about when he goes into the office every day, it's Ty fucking Simpson. So if I'm a Rams fan, I feel way more confident in Sean McVay sticking around after the draft than I did before the draft. Also, Jermod McCoy falling out of the first round is diabolical. And also, the Seattle Seahawks taking a running back in the first round is a fucking joke. Jadarian Price in the first round, when you could get an Emmett Johnson, a Mike Washington, a Jonah Coleman in the second, third, or fourth. And I understand their RB room is disastrous, but why waste that first round pick on Jadarian Price? And I'm looking at this now because I was out and about getting absolutely fucking ripped while the back half of the first round was going on. Malachi Lawrence and Caleb Downs is an incredibly good haul for the Dallas Cowboys. Their interior defensive line with Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams is stacked. Donovan Ezeraku and now Malachi Lawrence, who was just productive at UCF, the only good player on that team, to be honest, after RJ Harvey went to the Broncos last year. He is a really good player, and he's very productive. He's a good bull rusher off the edge. And then their secondary, they bring in one of the best players, if not the best player in the draft, in Caleb Downs. So I think the Cowboys had a really, really good day, and they were able to pick up a little bit of extra draft capital, or not. Never mind, because they traded up. The Dolphins. Who the Dolphins take in the second round? That Chris Johnson's a really good pick. Okay, I was ready to absolutely rip on the Dolphins because I think where they took Caden Proctor is just an absolute joke. Caden Proctor is not better than Blake Miller. He's not better than Max Ihenacho. Caden Proctor's tape is fucking abysmal. That guy is garbage. But you want to know who won the first round? The unequivocal winner of the first round of the NFL draft is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Getting Ruben Bain Jr. at 15, who could literally be the best pass rusher in this draft, is unbelievable value that you never really see. And it was at a ridiculous position of need. Their biggest need for Tampa Bay was the edge. And they got a guy in Ruben Bain who I think had better tape than David Bailey. Even though he has short arms, he set the edge in the run game better than David Bailey did. I think he rushed the passer better than David Bailey did against better competition. And I understand Miami plays in the ACC, but the entire college football playoff was an absolute gauntlet, and Ruben Bain was just consistently showing up. This is a guy that we had going top 3 overall. I had mock drafts where I had the Jets taking him at 2, and then they got him at 15. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely won the first round of the NFL draft unequivocally with Ruben Bain falling that far. It's just next level debauchery. The fact that's so many teams passed on him. And like looking back now at this first round, Carnell Tate going fourth overall. What the fuck was that? That came out of absolute nowhere. And shout out the delusional ass fucking Browns fan who, when I was crashing out at Heinz Field because the Jets took Kenyon Sadiq, he had the audacity, but this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. How fucking dare you say that right in front of me? And then I confronted you. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Tell me why Kenyon Sadiq's good. I think Eli Stowers is better. You're like, Eli, and this fucking idiot, absolute moron, despicable IQ of a doorknob type motherfucker who probably thinks Shedeur Sanders is God's gift to football and the Browns franchise quarterback has the audacity to tell me Eli Stowers only played for 5 years. He just started playing football. And he's being talked about in the conversations as Kenyon Sadiq. How fucking dare you? And then I go, I'd rather take Chris Johnson over Kenyon Sadiq. He goes, Chris Johnson's not a first round receiver. Chris, you dumb, ugly fuck. Where is Chris Johnson right now? You absolute fucking brick. Go apologize. Go follow. Go leave a comment like a good little boy. You absolute rat. Fucking talk to me, say I don't know ball. Who the fuck are you? There's more ball knowledge on my left fucking testicle than your entire bloodline combined. You Browns fan. Browns fan. I can't even talk to him. I'm a Jets fan. I hate using that argument. But this guy was an idiot and he was a Browns fan. I bet he's not even from Cleveland. That's how stupid this guy sounded. He's probably from Kansas City and roots for the Browns because he's an absolute fucking moron fucking talking to me. The Bears, I think, got tremendous value with Dylan Dynamite. I think the Commanders with Sonny Styles had a really good day. I think there was a lot of good teams. There's a few question marks, like the Vikings taking Caleb Banks is very questionable to me. Although I do think Caleb Banks is a dog, and him next to Jalen Redmond is one of the best interior defensive lines in the sport. But he's very inconsistent. I mean, he's an absolute monster. He's like 6'6", 350 pounds, and he's an athletic freak. The Chiefs getting Peter Woods and Mansour Delane is absolutely disgusting. I think the Chiefs filled two really big, not even a big hole, but the corner was a big hole. Obviously, that was Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. But then they replaced Trent McDuffie with Mansour Delane, who I think was by far the best corner in this year's draft. Obviously, these dumb fucks that had Jamal McCoy at CB2. You know who I had at fucking CB2? Chris Johnson. Guess where Chris Johnson went? You absolute fucking clowns. Listen to me. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Gosh darn it, bro. Caleb, I don't understand. The Giants went a little bit surprising. They didn't exactly attack position of need, so their cornerback position is still garbage. Their defensive tackle position is still garbage, but they weren't going to take a D tackle at 5 or 10 anyway. Their wide receiver 2 position is still garbage, but you could argue they took the best edge and they took the best offensive tackle in this year's draft. So they have Andrew Thomas, Francis Mauigoa. I don't know why they would re-sign the right tackle that they re-signed, whose name's evading me right now. I guess they'll Illuminor. I guess they'll kick him in the guard or kick Mauigoa in the guard, and I think their O-line is going to be really solid. Shout out Cam Scadaboo. He should be happy running behind that O-line right now. I think Chris Olave and Jordan Tyson is fucking disgusting. I will go as far to say that Chris Olave and Jordan Tyson is already a top 10 wide receiver core in the NFL. NFL draft overreaction. I think Jordan Tyson was the best wide receiver in this year's draft, and I understand there's the injury concerns. He missed 1 out of every 3 games he played in college, but the tape is undeniable. He's the best separator. He's really solid after the catch, and although he's not going to give you what Carnell Tate gives you at the catch point, he's still elite at the catch point. The body control is off the charts. The twitch is off the charts, and you're pairing him up with a guy in Chris Olave who was an all-pro last year, who finally had some good quarterback play, and you saw the production he was capable of. Not to mention they signed a guard this offseason. Not to mention Talise Fuaga's a great player. They hit on Kelvin Banks last year at the left tackle position. They're going to have one of the best offensive lines in the sport. Tyler Shuck looked like a real problem down the stretch last year. The Saints offense could legitimately be a top 10 unit in the league next year. The only problem is they lost their leading guy in sacks. They lost their second leading guy in tackle. They lost their team leader in tackles. Their cornerback position's a joke aside from Kool-Aid McKinstry. They still have holes to fill at defensive end, at off-ball linebacker, and in the interior of that defensive fine, but I'll tell you what, you're looking at the Saints offense right now, I think they're gonna be a real problem next year. So Jordan Tyson is nasty. What else we got going on here, ladies and gentlemen? Let's talk about some of these best guys still available. Who haven't I talked about yet? Oliver Vega to the Raven. That's free. That's a lock. Fano to the Browns and Casey Concepcion to the Browns is absolutely disgusting. I think Spencer Fano was the best pure pass blocker in this year's draft. And you guys know that I've been bullish on Casey Concepcion. He was my wide receiver 4. I had him slightly behind Mekhi Lemon, but I think there was a real argument to have him above Mekhi Lemon. I think he's an elite separator. I think he could have won a Bolitnikov if it wasn't for Marcel Reed absolutely being bad at football and at the being inaccurate at the quarterback position. So I think the Browns, who had a really, really good draft last year with Carson Schlesinger, defensive rookie of the year, Mason Graham, Harold Fannin, Quinshawn Judkins. They had a really, really good draft last year, especially on the defensive side of the ball, getting 2 cornerstones and a starting defensive tackle and your starting off-ball linebacker. They go out and get a starting wide receiver and the best pass protector in this year's draft, in my opinion, in Spencer Fano. So you can laugh at the Browns all you want, but they don't have a quarterback, but they still had a really, really good day going with 2 really good players on the offense. And I was so bullish on Casey Concepcion. I'm shocked that he even fell that far. So what else do we have here? Let's see. Caleb Lomu to the Patriots, absolute joke. Keldrick Falk to the Titans, I guess. It's going to be hard to run the ball on the Titans next year, I'll tell you that, because Keldrick Falk's probably the best run defender, the best edge setter in this year's draft class. Tavondre Sweat, or not Tavondre Sweat, sorry, Jeffrey Simmons in the middle of that offensive or defensive line is a problem. John Franklin Myers is one of the best run defenders in the NFL on the edge position. He can also line up in the 3 technique. You have Jermaine Johnson as well. The Titans defense is going to be way better next year. Cordell Flott, Alante Taylor, with this new crop of edge rushers that Bob Saleh has acquired since he's been named the head coach there. The Titans defense is going to be a real problem. And then they give Cam Ward an ex receiver in Carnell Tate. And even though I take Jordan Tyson over Carnell Tate, and going Carnell Tate at 4 is unbelievably high, you can't deny the safety that Carnell Tate gives an offense with his frame, his catch radius, and his very underrated route running ability. So I think the Titans honestly had a really good day. And I'm not a Keldrick Falk guy at all, but I think he's a really good scheme fit, considering that Bob Saleh loves to just recycle pass rushers, and they went with run defense with John Franklin Myers and Jermaine Johnson. You're not going to be able to run the ball on this Titans ball club next year. Seriously. Blake Miller to the Lions. I love that all day. I talked about Ty Simpson. I talked about Maui Noah. I talked about Banu. I mean, Sonny Styles to Ohio State, or to the Commanders. So you have Styles and Frankie Louvu. I think they knocked that out of the park. You can't really fuck that up. Oh, I guess we could talk about Jeremiah Love. I mean, Jeremiah Love going at 3 was an absolute reach by the Arizona Cardinals, and I think Jeremiah Love was the best player in this year's draft. I'd rather have Arvell Reese. I'd rather have Sonny Styles. I'd rather have Caleb Downs. I'd rather have Ruben Bain. I would rather have a player at a premium position than have an RB at 3. Think about the teams that have taken a running back at 3, chat. Like or a running back in the top 8 even over the past few years. McCaffrey to the Panthers. The Panthers didn't have prolonged success. Fournette to the Jaguars. They did make the AFC Championship game, but they didn't have prolonged success. Saquon to the Giants. They made the NFC divisional round. They didn't have prolonged success. Bijan to the Falcons haven't made the playoffs in 3 years since they have had Bijan. So you have all of these RBs that go early, and none of the teams that take an RB have any type of prolonged success. I would have much rather gone with a Reese or a Styles or a Caleb Downs or maybe a tackle. But Jeremiah Love's going to be really productive. I feel bad for James Conner dynasty owners. Trey Benson dynasty owners were cooked anyway. But good pick for the Cardinals, I guess, because you're not going to get fired picking a Hall of Famer. And I think Jeremiah Love has the best bet to be a Hall of Famer out of any player in this year's draft. So shout out Jeremiah Love, I guess. When we talk about Arvell, we talked about Sonny. I think we talked about everybody. I think Caden Proctor pick at 12 was an absolute fucking disaster. Oh, we can talk about the Steelers. Shout out Steelers by Joey. That's my dog. But he was overreacting to the Iheanacho pick. I think Max Iheanacho is an absolute dog. I think the Steelers had holes to fill on the offensive line. Roderick Jones was not the answer, and they lost Isaac Seumalo, so they can either throw Iheanacho at left tackle, even though he played right, and they could throw Fatuanu click him inside, throw Broderick back on the right, throw Iheanacho on the left, or they could just throw Ian Archer on the inside, keep Broderick Jones on the left, and keep. Oh, I've been talking so much. I forgot the guy's name, chat. I just said his name too. And throw Fatuano on the right. So there's a lot of versatility. There's a lot of options the Steelers can do at offensive line now. And apparently they had Mekhi Lemon on the phone, and then the Eagles come up and traded for him, which the Eagles do because the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFL. That's what they do. That's what good GMs do. They go out and get their guy. And I'll tell you this, the Jets trading back in for Omar Cooper, what a fucking get. What a get by the Jets. They needed desperately a wide receiver too. Let's look at some of the best guys available. And I don't even know what the Jets traded, so I don't even know who's like on the clock. I don't know who's next up. The Niners are on the clock. Oof. The Niners are probably going to go like Caden McDonald or go edge. There's some really good players still on the board, man. There are some really good players still on the board. Gabe Yakis, Keontae Scott, that's way too early. TJ Parker, Jack Galladay, AJ Halsey, Emmanuel Pregnon. There's still a lot of guards. The Tex is trading up and getting the guard, not trading up, but taking the guard. Unless they did trade up and I didn't see that. The Texans taking the guard out of Georgia Tech. Shocking move, but honestly, that dude's a fucking beast. He's an absolute mauler. There's so many good corners still on the board. Only 2 corners went in that first round. So you could get Jermon McCoy, Brandon Cease, D'Angelo Pons, Keith Abney. There's so many good corners still on the board here, so that's interesting. There's still good interior defensive line play. Only Peter Woods went, so you can get Caden McDonald, Lee Hunter, Grayson Halton. Where's the interior? What's the interior defense? Dante Corleone. Like, there's still a lot of really good interior defensive linemen. DeMonte Capehart, who if you guys listen to my sleeper episode, I really love DeMonte Capehart. But Lee Hunter is probably one of the best players still on the board. I think that Billy Schrauth in the later rounds is going to be an absolute steal. Emmanuel Pregnon, Chase Pasantis, what tackles? Jennings Dunker's a guard. He's not a tackle, even though it says tackle on ESPN. Caleb Tiernan, there's a fall off after Tiernan for sure. There's a lot of good edges still on the board. Zion Young, Cassius Howell, Gabe Yakis, R. Mason Thomas, TJ Parker, Romello Height. There's still a lot of good edges on the board. There's still some good linebackers. The safeties are obviously loaded. I'm not that high on Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, but you have Traden Stukes, AJ Halsey, Kamari Ramsey. There's still a good amount of safeties on the board. The best player available, let's see, overall. I'd say Jermon McCoy, and that's what ESPN has as number 1. But Jermon McCoy falling out of the first round is insanity to me. I didn't think he was better than Chris Johnson, and I said that. I'm not just saying that because Chris Johnson went in the first round. I fucking said that. I was bullish on Chris Johnson, and he went. So I'm not just dissing Jermon McCoy, but I did not think Jermon McCoy he's a first round talent. So if the Niners can lock him up at 32 or at 33, that's just absolutely nasty. Let's see. I want to see like what the order is. Can I see the fucking draft order, please? Okay. So the Jets, what do you mean? Where's the Jets' other pick? So it's Arizona, Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo. No. Is this round 2? I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. Let me look this up. Draft order. Do the Jets not have 44 anymore? Did they trade? I'm so confused here, chat. Sorry, I was at the bar, dude. I got fucking banged up. The kid was shooting his shot today, though. I'll tell you right now. I got a few phone numbers. One of them didn't remember my name, not answering her. The other 2 left me on. One of them left me on read. The other one I didn't text. The other one was really pretty, but then she turned around and she had a long back, if you know what I mean. Not to objectify women, but she was also really boring. Like I was like talking to a fucking brick wall. I had so much more fun talking to her friend than I did her, and her friend wasn't like exactly my type, but I would totally take her on a date because that's how funny she was. And girls aren't really funny anymore. But either way, like this one girl was really hot, but she was just the personality of a fucking brick wall. Like you can tell she was pretty her whole life. The method is finding girls that were ugly when they were younger, so they needed to rely on their personality to be popular and like have friends. But then they got super hot. So like they don't think they're hotter than everybody. They don't think they're better than everybody. Like they have their entire life. Because let's face the reality. Like you can get by if you're a really, really attractive chick. Like you don't really need to have the greatest personality and you'll be able to just absolutely skate by. That's just reality of the situation. That's just how guys work. But if you were ugly and then you got really hot, you had to have a personality in those early years because that's the only way ugly girls succeed, bro. I'm not even saying that to be rude. That's just the way it is, bro. And it's fucked up, bro. It's fucked up, but that's just the way it is. So, like, if you want to be popular, you need to be funny, have a personality, or you need to be really hot growing up. That's just how it worked. And these girls that were ugly had personalities and then got really hot. That's where you strike gold. And I could tell that this girl was just really hot her whole life because talking to her was like talking to a brick wall. But I am gonna text her. I'm gonna text. I'm here with this, so I should cancel the wedding? Question mark. We'll see how that does. We'll see. I'll let you guys know the response rate on that, and if that's a good way to go. If you're like, if you just meet a girl and like trying to text a girl after you meet her and like you pick up her phone number, like that first text is kind of crucial. All right, the Jets are still at 12. They traded this pick with the Niners to get Omar Cooper, so it's basically Omar Cooper. We'll take that all day. The Cardinals at 2. They could go edge. They could also go. Oh, the Cardinals are in decent, but they could go corner. They could go Jamal McCoy. They could go Zion Young. They could go Gabe Yakus. The Bills could go interior. The Bills should go interior defensive line. The Giants should go interior defensive line. The Giants are in a good spot because Caden McDonald or Lee Hunter. The one I'd be shocked that the Raiders could use interior D line. The Cardinals could pair up someone. Okay, if you're a Giants fan, you got to sweat out these next 4 picks because you need Lee Hunter or you need Caden McDonald to fall to you because there is a steep fall off at the interior defensive line position, in my opinion. And then you're waiting on the Iowa State guy whose name I'm forgetting, or a Corleone. And I'm not that bullish on Christian Miller, but he is a really good run defender. So I guess Christian Miller and some people, not me, have him on the same tier as like a Lee Hunter and a Caden McDonald. I think Caden McDonald's the best. He's a pure nose tackle though. Like Peter Woods offers so much versatility that, but Lee Hunter and Caden McDonald are both going to be nose tackles. They're going to line up in the middle. They're going to just clog up holes and push the pocket back. The Chiefs on the clock again at 8, bro. The Chiefs are fucking dialed, bro. They're fucking cooking. The Jets back at 12. What do I want the Jets to do here? Sorry, these hiccups have to be so annoying for you guys watching. Whatever. I'm gonna go to bed, mixing a water. I love you guys, man. W first day. I've got so much draft content coming out. So if you're listening to this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow on TikTok at Fire Sports Takes. I'm gonna be going live. Sorry for the fucking constant hiccups the entire time. I love you guys, man. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode of the Fire Sports Takes podcast.